Right, welcome back to One Piece Pirate Warriors, and we are going to enter the Albasta Kingdom, which is at least this part of it is a Museo episode, unlike the others being bosses in action. Same one as Arlong, where we have to take areas over, we have to defeat bosses and whatnot. I believe I have a timer for this one as well, so can you do it within time limit, but it's not particularly that difficult. I can't remember what I even choose here. I'm not particularly after anything in particular, so I'm thinking what's the most. I just go for I'll go for Kura, whatever her name is again, so I can't remember what it is.
私がこうして生きてられるのはビビの決断とクレハさんの治療のおかげってわけ。俺だって頑張ったんだぞ。
で、その後いよいよアラバスタに上陸したってわけだ。
そういや、上陸する前にお前らなんか不気味なもん釣り上げたんじゃなかったか？
ボンちゃんだな。
あの変態野郎が。
変態だと？そいつは聞き捨てならねえな。左手で触れればほーら元通り。これがあちしの食べたマネマネの実の能力よ。
おお。ねえ、なんか船がこっち来るわよ。あんたの船じゃないの？
あら、もうお別れの時間。残念ね。悲しむんじゃないわよ。旅に別れはつきもの。でもこれだけは忘れないで。友情ってやつは付き合った時間とは関係Nothing。
また会おうぜ。
うわー！さあ行くのよお前たち。
はっ、ミスター2ボンクレー様。
あいつがミスター2ボンクレ。厄介なやつを取り逃がしちまったな。
今あいつに会えたことをラッキーだと考えるべきだ。対策が打てるだろ。とにかくしっかり締めとけ。今回の相手は謎が多すぎる。
なるほど。これを確認すれば仲間を疑わずに済むわね。
よし、とにかくこれから何が起こっても左腕のこれが仲間の印だ。
I love that because Shipper was so small there, you had to get the little stand thing to stand on. But yeah, sadly, Mr. 2 is not too major in this game. At least he appears there, and like a lot of the other numbers, the only numbers that appear really are Mr. 2 and Mr. 3, as well as obviously Mr. Zero being Crocodile and Robin being Missile Sunday. It does miss a lot of the other numbers we would have met at this point as well. We would have also met, as it mentioned there, Mr. 3 already. It's a bit weird, but I just like to skip out random stuff like that, I guess. What Mr. 2 Bonkley is still probably one of my favourite characters as well. He's just an amazing guy, I think, and yeah, just. Some of the stuff is quite long as well. I forget how long it is, and I'm not even sure if anything happens after this in terms of cutscenes and whatnot, but it's just I don't want to keep talking for too long. I think there is a cutscene after it, but I guess we shall have to find out, and it just skips so much of what happens in the story, just like in the wee quick summary it gives here. It's just that much it misses out a bunch. It's understandable, there's only so much you can get in a game anyway.
こちらはクソレストラン。てめえ、一体何者だ？俺か？俺はミスタープリンス。捕らえ えました。この妙な男をどうしましょう。
サンジさん、そんな。
そこはどこだ。場所を言え。レインディナーズというカジノの正面ゲートです。
サンジ。
ガッチャ。
こりゃいい。行くぞ。店の正面ゲートだ。
もう少しだけ我慢してて、必ず助けを呼んでくるから。私は絶対にみんなを見捨てたりしない。
全部作戦通り。
サンジさん。
場所を教えてくれるかい、プリンセス。
野郎、どこへ来やがった。ミスタープリンス、必ず見つけてぶち殺してやるぜ。
水が。死ぬ死ぬ。ギャー。
よし、待ったか。バカやってねえでさっさと鍵を探せ。
よかった。
ナミスワーン。惚れた。
はいはい、惚れたからさっさとここ開けて。
I love Sanji's like, are you in love with me now, Nami Swan? And now we have Mr. 3. I don't even remember if this fight actually happened, I'm presuming it did. If not, it's still nice to have a bit of variety here. And this is probably about our second or third time having to use Sanji. And the fight isn't particularly that difficult against Mr. 3. Not sure if I said before, but he has a candle fruit, so you basically could just turn himself into wax and everything. Probably one of the first. I can't remember. He is a Logie, isn't he? I'm presuming he is. But yeah, he's not particularly tough. As usual in most fights, you just need to dodge around a lot, beat him up and all that. It does skip his original appearance with Miss Golden Week. I think Miss Golden Week is one of the few numbered people from Baroque Verse that didn't actually have a Devil Fruit either. But she doesn't appear in the game whatsoever, so it's kind of irrelevant, even though she had some weird colour trap hypnosis thing that was weird. But she wasn't pretty much a fighter, she was like a little girl. And she was just, I don't think in terms of the main story she's even appeared since then or not, so there's not really that much about her. Again, with all the other numbers, basically we don't fight them at all. Mr. 2 is fightable in the game, but he's not in the main story, he's in for another log. So basically when you go for any of the other characters' stories and when you reach the Albasta arc, Mr. 3 and Mr. 2 normally appear as mini bosses. And then you'd have to fight Crocodile as the main boss, but other than that, like, you don't really fight them at all, really. I can't even remember much in terms of Mr. 3's attacks here. He just gets tougher when you get to the second bar, and he uses his shield up as well. And he is a lot more offensive, making it a bit more troublesome as well. But again, it's not a particularly hard fight. I do have a bit of trouble when it becomes a bit more difficult, but again, it's not that difficult. And I always just love here playing tie up, tie down, tie up, tie down. There's all the short betting up as well, I guess. I just quite like that. I have fun with it. Especially when there's nothing else to do.
Oh, やるもんだ、ろうそく人間。
あの雑魚ども、もう許さん。即刻この手で皆殺しにしてやる。
たく能力者ってのは厄介なリスク背負ってんな。
クロコダイルはどこだ。
I know that glitched a bit and Luffy's outfit was in his mouth. But yeah, we have a new enemy here and we have the 20-minute time limit, which I think I do fine with getting through anyway. I can't remember if it comes up with a pop-up or it already said on the screen for these larger enemies, or if maybe even fought them before, I can't remember now. But the best attack for them, I think, is the Stomp Attack, yeah, that one, thing there, you know, what's it, the Battle Axe, I just got it since it looks like the thing. Another thing you know about, there, we were just in where everyone was locked away, it actually doesn't have Smoker, who is a Marine who ended up getting captured with us, who we would have, in terms of the story, already met before, and I think he's probably the first, or one of the first Logias we actually meet as well. You could maybe guess by his name what kind of devil fruit power he has if you don't already know, being that he's got smoke and whatnot, but it completely misses out, I can't remember the line, but it's basically where Goldie Roger was executed and whatnot, and it's just, I don't think Smoker appears in the game whatsoever apart from a coin, as most characters do appear in the game as a coin if they don't appear at all in the story part, but it would have been quite nice to have Smoker just appear in here and whatnot, but I guess there's not really much you can do about that. There's another thing in the game, as well as, like I said, it misses out a lot of the number of characters, which would have been quite fun, because, like, you get to use a variety of characters against them. Like, Zoro fought Mr. 1, who has a sharp steel fruit, turning any part of his body into sharp steel. That would be quite interesting. Then Miss Double Finger, who's his partner, who turns any part of her body into spikes, so you fight with Nami, which would have been quite interesting. Especially, I think that's the first point you actually get Nami's proper weatherly kind of attacks, which I don't think we've properly seen yet. We've already met Bon Clay, but Sanji actually fights him, but I'm not sure how it would work in the game. As originally, I think in the manga and anime and whatnot, it's because he can transform into anyone he's touched. And because he was on the ship, he'd already touched Nami, so he would turn into a female, and then Sanji just wouldn't be able to fight him. So I'm not sure how well that would work in terms of gameplay-wise. Obviously we have Mr. Free. I think that's the last time we see of him for the time being, at least in terms of Albasta Kingdom. And Miss Golden Week, his partner just vanished wherever. Mr. 4, I think, is one of the other few ones that didn't have a devil fruit. He just had some sort of like 4-ton baseball bat or something. But him and his partner, Miss Merry Christmas, who could turn into a mole, fought Usopp and Chopper, which would have been, I think, probably been one of the more interesting fights. I'm presuming probably would have want to made you fight as either Usopp or Chopper, but getting a bit more fighting time with either of those two characters would be quite nice. As in fairness, you barely get to fight with any of the other characters in the main story, the main ones being Sanji and Zoro, and I think you fight with most of them at least once, but I don't think you fight with everyone. There's a few that we won't get, that aren't part of the crew we get to use as, but that's not until Marineford, but yeah, it just missed out a lot of interesting fights it could have had there, but again, it's not particularly that bad. There's another thing I want to I'm not even talking much of what's going on here, it's really just take over the, I guess, basically we're taking over airs, but where it says like now it says Choppers and Territory AD, which is at the top right there, you can see it's flashing green. We basically need to help our characters in their territories. Once we beat them, they'll go over to the very top left where the X is, and we need all our characters to get up there, our crewmates to get up there and escape. The only problem is, like, where Chopper is, he's in D, if he runs across to the middle, where we're not in yet, he'll be stuck in fights there as well, so we need to make a very clear path, taking over pretty much most of the areas to help everyone get through. And the worst one is Zoro, who actually does get lost several times when he tries to find his way around. But another thing I want to note on that has only been announced maybe about a week or two ago is, there's actually a second game. One Piece Pirate Warriors game already been announced, coming out for next year. It's on next year in, I think, Europe as well. Obviously it'll be out in Japan probably earlier and whatnot. It's unclear exactly what it's going to be doing, but it's got, I'm not sure if it's doing the original story. I think it might be doing some stuff it missed out here, because it's got Eno or Eneru, who's part of the Sky Pia arc, and he's actually playable as well, which it looks quite interesting. It also has Time Skip, Luffy, Zoro and Sanji, who are already in this game anyway, and I think the box cover has Blackbeard, Luffy and the Ice Admiral, Ikyoji or whatever his name is. I'm bad with pronunciations, as well as the fact that I read the manga most and not watched too much of the anime, so actually not hearing the pronunciations makes it a bit more difficult for me. Generally in animes a lot of the time, or mangas or whatever, I normally just refer to someone as some sort of specific way I'll just describe them than actually their names. Like, I do that particularly a lot for Bleach as well. It's just like, I have my own list of names, but if I'm talking to someone who doesn't know how I normally refer to the names as, it's like, who are you talking about? One thing I at least like about the main One Piece characters, like the characters on Luffy's crew, is they all have incredibly easy to pronounce names. At least so far. I never know, there could be some random person who joins the crew later has the worst name possible ever to pronounce. But yeah, I will probably be getting the second game, but no idea about if it's like doing an original story, it's covering certain parts of the actual game and whatnot, I don't know. But having Inaru as a playable character does make it more appealing. I think originally in the back of the Japanese box art for this game, it actually had Mihawk and Buggy as playable characters, which I think were supposed to be DLC. But as far as at least now is aware, they're not actually being released for DLC or that or anything, which would make it a bit more varied. It would be nice to get to play as a few other characters. I do hope they do make quite a bit, some slight improvements and whatnot over the original, which it probably will do. But again, like most games like that, they're probably they make improvements, and either way there's still things that don't feel right. But again, it doesn't matter hugely that much. I don't know, I probably won't be looking too much forward to that one in terms of the story. Probably more gameplay, because in fairness there is replayability with this, but it is so limited. Obviously you have the main story, but there's only so much that you can play through. You have other log playing for other characters and their stories, but you're very limited to the courses you can do, and there's very limited difficult levels because it goes through the story arcs that each of those characters went through. So it shows you when that character is first introduced. So for some character, and the thing is, the first level they have is very easy no matter who they are. Like for example, Ace or Jinbei, we only get one level of them because we only see them at Marineford. Brook, we only get one level of him because as far as the game's concerned, we only see him at the place everyone gets separated from Luffy when they first meet the pacifistas. That's only one level. Apart from that level, for Nami and Zoro is incredibly difficult, and like there's just not that many difficult levels. There are some challenges, but I find them too difficult and not fun. I would kind of just like if there was a mode where I can maybe decide to do a course, decide on the difficulty, and maybe even decide who I get to verse as a boss or whatever on it, so I can make my own challenges and whatnot. You could maybe just make like trophies related to whatever they want to do, because I know like if potentially doing things like that could affect the trophies and whatnot, but I'm not overly too bothered about them. But I know that's one of the concerns about stuff like that and whatnot. And I'm kind of just rambling on. I was getting kind of worried at this point though, because the timer was going down and there's still so much area to take over still in that, and I still think I have to get Zoro and Usopp for this. I think everyone else has escaped though, haven't they? I don't know, I'm just rambling on. Normally I'm at least paying half attention, but I'm not paying too much attention. Again, it's not particularly that difficult, it's just a bit of, well, it's a bit more difficult than what we've played so far, but it's still not difficult kind of things. There's that many varied enemies. I need to get the battle axe for the big enemies, I need to get the bazooka for the shield enemies, I need to be careful for the marine leaders and the leaders and everything, which makes things a bit more difficult, but overall still not that bad. There's just so many enemies. And it would be really good to try and get over to Usopp. Before, I haven't actually really used the battle axe against these guys, but I thought I'll just use it just to see how effective it is. Because to be fair, I don't even remember there was a certain move that would maybe help against those guys. Because really, once you level up to a certain point, they're just basically like normal troops. The only ones that are annoying still are the shield ones. And I normally stick with the bazooka normally most of the time anyway, which knocks away their shields, so it's not really that bad. The only thing I hate about these leaders, but I guess it makes them a bit more challenging, is that you could barely knock them away most of the time. You can make them a bit unconsciously dizzy and whatnot, but other than that, not really much. And I think I just decided to go for a bit of variety of the moves and go for... Actually, I don't think I did. I think I'd like to go for bazooka, went for pistol instead, but nonetheless, it's still quite good. And actually knocked the map into zoom in there. I don't know how I managed to do that. Obviously I just knocked the D-pad, but it's just a bit of random silliness. Again, these little leaders also get a bit more difficult once we finish the next story arc. There's still the next episode's still going to be in Albasta Kingdom because it's split into 2 episodes. And episodes in terms of how the game goes, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But I'm mainly doing an episode apart unless the episode goes incredibly long, and then I might split it up. Even I don't know how long, like if you think 30 minutes or so is still quite long, I don't know. but I just find it harder to find points where I feel like, yeah, this would be a good point to split off. It varies in the episodes really though, because sometimes it's a good cut point where you can just have a cut scene and then finish it there. But in terms of actually being in the gameplay, it's not particularly very useful. I was just looking here to see who's still there. Usopp and Zoro with me, Chopper's on his way out, and that's it. So yeah, that's pretty much almost everyone. At least the timer still doesn't run when you're doing that though, so that's kind of lovely. Here's another thing just to note about Crocodile himself, the main villain of the arc, is that he was apparently like Luffy at one point and just wanted to be the Pirate King, but as time went on, he just kind of like, from his own personal experiences, which we don't know much about, he kind of just drifted from that and decided not to really trust people as much anymore, and kind of just became the kind of person he is now. You know, the main reason he's doing this, which I don't think it's explained too well in the game, but it's essentially there's a, what's it called, a poneglyph or something? A poneglyph, yeah. It's like a pony, and it's like a hieroglyph put together. Well, not really. It's basically a stone tablet with an unreadable, well, it's not completely unreadable, but I think the only person, or at least one of the only few people who could read it is Miss All Sunday, which is Robin, Crocodile's partner. But the thing is, the thing they want is in the center, or it's in the Albasta Kingdom main bit, so he just wants to take it over to read it, because it talks about Pluton, which is one of the ancient weapons. I think this is the first time we actually hear about it here, in terms of the story, and yeah, it's basically the most powerful warship or something. In terms of even up to date now, in terms of me actually recording this, I don't know much about it. I at least know a bit more about the other two ancient weapons, one being Poseidon, the other being, I don't even remember what it's called. But Poseidon obviously you can kind of guess being more fish and water based, and the other one's just a very powerful weapon. We actually, I guess I'll get into more Pluton later. The next story arc does explain a bit about it, but we don't see anything much more for it. But it's just weird that Crocodile has to take over the kingdom. We can't just go, hey, do you mind if I look at your poneglyph there? It would be pretty lovely and whatnot. I have another random fact about Crocodile. He has a hook in his hand, and I think he's about one of the only characters that has one of the like stereotypical pirate like accessory things. Anyone else who's lost a body part or whatever, if they doesn't have like a hook or that, they'll just probably have like a prosthetic part or not have it or whatever. And I hate how annoyingly Zoro just kept fighting everyone back there as well. He just would not go to the finish. You had to fight everyone and get them out of the way. It seems to take a while here to eventually get through all of it, but at least the timer's gone. It'd be annoying if you still had the timer and then the timer ran out. And then like when you're waiting to get to the goal, it's like, yeah, this is the goal, right? You want me to go here? Yep.
少々ふざけが過ぎたな、麦わらのルフィ。3分やろ。それ以上てめえの相手なんぞしてられねえ。
3-minute thing has nothing really to do with the battle. Again, Crocodile isn't too difficult if you're familiar with fighting in the game. And when I originally first played this fight was really difficult for me, and I did lose quite a few times, just because there is a low gear power thing here where he'll turn into sand, and we actually can't hit him because we can't really affect sand. So we have to, but he doesn't really activate that properly until we've got him down 1 bar. But yeah, he has his Espada attack, which he's used a few times, which is just like a straight line of sand. But I think I wasn't really avoiding properly that much. It's when I originally played it either, which is annoying. And I kept not dodging too well either, and kept getting hit and knocked back like that, which makes it a bit difficult. It's really just getting the times in. A good strategy I found, at least against boss fights, if you can get a successful bazooka in, you generally knock them out here, and then you could just juggle them around for a bit. Like, obviously Crocodile did there, he kind of jump away, but other than that, it's still not particularly too difficult. Like, you can juggle them around a bit. It gets a lot difficult when it gets to the second stage though. I remember, like, me and my friend were having shots about this originally when I first played it, and we just kept feeling horribly, and then when we started getting to this point, we're like, the fudge are we meant to do here? How are we meant to beat this? As he does summon that tornado, and it does suck you in slightly, I believe, and he goes into this mode as well where you can't hit him, so it is really quite difficult. Just need to get used to avoiding it. Obviously I'm personally familiar with him, but I think the main thing you need is to actually be used to actually fighting as well, which obviously helps. So it's a bit confusing, you knowing kind of what he's going to do, but it's been a while since I've played it, so it's like I don't remember it that perfectly how he fights, but I just know I want to avoid him as soon as he goes into the sand form. And he's just bad to attack there is a lot more and dangerous and whatnot. I think also about him, his bounty, I think he's a warlord, so that means he's kind of aiding the marines if he wants to, but he's not a pirate kind of thing. Even though we obviously don't know about Baroque works and his evil doings right now. But apparently if the world government knew of that, his bounty instead would be, well, he's not got a bounty now, it got removed when he became a warlord. But it used to be 81 million, it'll be 162 million if they knew about this. Generally bounties aren't that useful at learning how like strong a character is or whatnot. It's mostly what they've done and how they threaten the government and whatnot.
俺を誰だと思ってる。てめえのような口先だけのルーキーなんざいくらでもいるぜ。麦わらのルフィ、このグランドラインにゃよ。苦しそうだな。だがじきに楽になれる。くだらねえ時間を過ごした。
なぜ戦うの？ D の名を持つあなたたちよ。
D？
どうやら無駄な質問みたいね。
I guess I didn't get the S rank in the kills because I did miss out an entire area. And to be continued still. So yeah, that was pretty right. I really do love the pre-rendered cutscenes. They do look really good. The other ones aren't as, like, the in-game cutscenes and whatnot are still quite good, but obviously generally pre-rendered ones will look a lot more prettier, even though we sadly don't get to see him as Samurai Luffy for obvious reasons there. But yeah, that's the end of the first part of the Baroque Works part anyway. We've got the second part, which is an action part, and then we have to fight Crocodile again, and probably a much more difficult fight, for reasons I'll get into when we get there. But overall, not a particularly bad episode, quite good, quite a lot of story elements put in there, even if a fair bit skipped out, it does at least cover a fair amount of it. So next time I shall see you in the Tomb of Kings, and I'll see you then.